perfect sense, as well as the one based Chovy voter. Shout out to the VNcast.
Yeah.
Never wrong to vote for Chovy.
No, exactly. Not robbed. And actually, VNcast, absolute Giga Chads. Yeah. I love it. Absolutely 100%. Fantastic stuff. If we could call them and have a chat with them, I would commend them on their efforts. But unfortunately, they were the only ones.
Yeah. In this case, I think Lahens obviously did an incredible job in the early game in the pace. Once he took over, there was no relenting. So there were a couple of big things that I want to see change here. I don't want to see T1 opt for Nidalee given over to Canyon and Oner playing Sejuani. Like, of all the matchups, that one should definitely be avoided. I don't even think Oner played bad, but that's just not a playable matchup. And Canyon is, at worst, the second best Nidalee in the world, right? So just don't do that.
Who's the best? Hotshot GG?
No, I mean, I think Shun is a really good Nidalee as well. I'm saying at worst, you know, I'm covering my grounds.
Oh.
I think Canyon is the best.
I think you can just say he's the best.
Yeah, okay. Well, you know what, Atlas? He is. So stop giving him the pick.
He kind of proved it in that matchup. As Tristana going to be the first pick here. Faker probably going to be the one playing that one. An understandable first pick, but I think that there are a lot of things. I mean, the Taliyah, even though Faker didn't find the victory on it in the last game, but Skarner Nidalee could certainly come through. Skarner and Taliyah jungle could also come through.
Yeah, also wouldn't mind that one bit.
But the Nidalee is, yeah, if it ain't broke, I've said this before.
But it was broke. From T1.
In the good way.
Like, no, it was broken for Gen G. It broke T1, and they're still giving it over.
Yeah.
So the big thing here, so the Corki ban, I think makes sense after last game. The Rumble ban is interesting as well, because I wouldn't even mind the T1 Rumble. That would be way better. Even if he ends up playing Taliyah jungle, I would prefer that over Sejuani again. That's the other pivot that I think we really need to see. But I mean,
there we go.
In. So most likely, this is the jungle Taliyah.
Okay.
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, so I was going to talk about, I think the Zeri ban is the most interesting to me, because I think Zeri ban against Gen G is a great ban, but I don't know if it's warranted to do so in the first rotation, specifically because almost all drafts on this patch have played out this way, where the top side gets locked in, and then we go for, you know, maybe you pick an AD carry, but they didn't prioritize the Zeri in the last game either.
Yeah.
And you knew the Nidalee was going to come, and now Chovy's going to be playing his Yone into the Tristana. Most likely, you can flex the Tristana towards the bottom half of the map, like Guma can play it technically, but I think it's most likely that it's Oner on Taliyah, and then Zeus and Faker will swap champions.
Would you respect the pivot, even if Tristana isn't necessarily the optimal choice for the bottom lane? But we saw how well Taliyah can do into Yone yesterday. Showmaker versus BDD, that looked unplayable. Okay,
yes. But I also think BDD did a whole lot of queuing into...
He did do a lot of missing of abilities, that's true.
Which I don't think Chovy will. So I do think that there is a... It's the same to me as with Ahri, where I feel like Yone reaches the point where there's so much mobility in his kit inherently, right? You can reposition with your snapback and then get a Q free and then find an angle for an ultimate. I think there is a lot more counterplay opportunity, even though the Taliyah will definitely make your life harder. I'm wondering if T1 are thinking about a Poppy support. That's actually one of the picks that I would really love. Was a big pick at MSI as well. And I think it will kind of hit the mark here, as we are going to, again, keep Paze's pick relatively hidden. Could just end up being the S-roll again after last game's performance, and the fact he still has that Nidalee combo.
And Leona has been locked in, and that looked like a very powerful combination. What the answer is going to be will be the next thing on the menu here, as T1 look to lock in a bottom lane by the looks of things, given this Jhin hover does come on through. Something that Gumayusi has found success on in the past, as long as there's no kitty cat attached to it. We'll see where Keria is going to go. Saving counterpick for Paze is a really interesting one, but he's once again going to head towards the Rel. He did have some brilliant engages, even though the fights didn't work. I don't think that we're necessarily blaming Keria for it. And why not just Ezreal? I guess maybe they could just Ezreal.
Could just do it again. Another whole lot of reason not to. Into Jhin. Jhin obviously also a bit of a lane bully.
Or Ziggs.
I think it should be it wouldn't even, like, you know what, I'm thinking about it. Ziggs wouldn't even be bad, right? Because you can Lance can roam. You have the Yone for setup. You have Ziggs in Italy.
Yeah.
I think it's good. But
I mean, Valdez and Orcs live rent-free in my brain, so it's just always Ziggs.
It's
every angle
always
is a Ziggs angle.
But realistically, when you get half of the POG votes and you play that game, I think you're allowed to just lock it in again.
Yeah, I think so too. And we'll just have to see whether T1 can survive the early game a little bit longer, because we know that Ezreal, when he isn't as accelerated as Paze was, can really feel like he doesn't do any damage at all. I don't expect that to necessarily happen. Paze has been playing extraordinarily well on this champion. Really great callback to his earlier days, as you were mentioning, Chronicler, back in Challenger. But Wolf's point really does stand. The fact that he hasn't played this champion outside of one time in the last couple of years that he's been here playing at the highest level does mean that you got to shake off some rust, and it looked like there wasn't very much rust. That's all I'm saying.
About to get in game number 2. I want a free gamer Atlas. I'm not going to be satisfied. We had the best LCK finals in recent memory. The best one for sure since I joined the LCK.
Absolutely.
I don't want to go from that to a 2-0. No thank you. But I'm looking at this draft, and I'm not feeling great about the odds. Yeah,
well, we did see kind of a similar one work from Gen G, but T1 have changed things up. Let's jump onto the rift for game 2. All right, Gen G fans raising their voices just a little bit here for game number 2. However, T1 fans still deafening here at Lore Park. It is a full house, as you would understand. Our top 2 teams from last season, our MSI representatives, facing off once again. And T1 beating Gen G, I believe it was last year. Summer, first round robin, was fantastic, getting the momentum moving towards the World Championships. That has been identified as a point, right? We've been doing a lot of retrospectives recently, with Faker being inducted into the Hall of Legends and all of that stuff. I don't know how important it is necessarily, but it is definitely huge vibes. So if T1 can come back in this series, find themselves a victory, I think it would be pivotal.
Oh, I really liked your huge vibes. I thought, like, we're gonna end on a high note. We're gonna, you know, keep it positive.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's what we're going for. But it could be really hard, and I don't know whether this the Yone situation that we saw yesterday is going to be something that will occur again. Because it was Chovy that kind of taught BDD how incredibly strong Yone was. If you guys remember, one of the most dominant games ever. As Lahens goes in once again, Xena's Blade is going to connect onto Gumayusi as he walks his way out. Good Mystic Shot there from Paze, as Lahens going to start drinking some potions. That hurt. As Keria going to be softened up as well. Lahens, you can see, looking for it, waiting for that level 2, wanting to get that Shield to Daybreak. Or the Eclipse for the extra tankiness. Yes, this is what we kind of meant. It's a decent win rate.
On the plus side, lethal tempo has been removed, so Yone he's not as oppressive, you know, early as he once was, where he could just win long trades just by getting the access to lethal tempo.
Oh yeah, true.
So he should actually get punished a little bit more in the early game now by Tristana, which is great, because that didn't really feel fair previously.
Well, right now, Faker is doing just fine in the matchup. We know that Chovy is generally very, very good at navigating these melee matchups that can have difficult early games, but it's not like what we've seen from him in his last 3 games here in the LCK, which have all been Corki, a champion that Chovy has been very, very good at navigating the laning phase positively on.
The part that's the most hilarious to me is that Corki was like fundamentally reworked as a champion. He plays very differently now than he did before. He's like he's more of a, you know, like Tristan, like an early dive threat, like he, as in he dives on top of you and murders you. Much like Kenya might be looking to do here, but won't actually get it. But he plays very aggressively in lane, and obviously Chovy was winning lanes before. But you went from what was like a mid to late game scaling teamfight threat to being an 80 bully, and it's like, no, it's still Corki. It's still a Yordo on the plane. I will still
he plays it exactly the same.
It's banned.
If you told me that, like, there was no change to Corki at all, and I watched Chovy play over the last couple of days. Okay, we're looking for a dive here. No 2v2 kill, but there's the Zenith played in. Immediate cleanse flash from Gumayusi as they're trying to get that kill first. It is going to be first blood going over to Keria, but it's a 1-for-1 immediately. Still, I mean, with the fact that Gumayusi goes down, still a benefit for Gen G, but they traded one back, and that is so important.
We'll see what the wave state is going to be here as well, but I would say this favors also because there is an extra assist, right, on the side of Gen G as Oner. Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Starts up, and Lahens might be waiting in that brush.
Well, in goes in, flash out immediately from Oner. He is not going to risk that one. Lahens gets here at exactly the right time. They just knew that that cross map was going to be attempted.
It's the summer of support. Lahens actually takes a quick back so that he can... Okay, no, I'm not going to contribute. They probably knew when the play came through that realistically the odds of Lahens dying are pretty high. Guma does a good job here. Actually is able to flash out right of the CC chain, giving himself a little bit more life. Keria then also delays the play by hitting his W, but in the end it's not enough as...
Yeah, Oner is going to get pounced on here. He does stun himself, does Canyon, but now Oner not going to dodge that direction. Still, Canyon's going to be able to grab this Merkwolf and get out of there.
And one of the really big things is that in a lot of games, Canyon actually kind of broke the trend last time around. He ended up going for Darkseal instead. But generally, teams go, or Nidalees go Ether Wisp first, right? Because it's the item that you can buy after you do a full jungle clear, and it gives you some movement speed. But what you really want, and which Canyon is able to do because he actually got an early kill, is get early Sword Pen boosts. Because the amount of movement speed that Nidalee gets once she has those plus her passive, completely unreasonable. Which allows you to just power clear your own jungle and invade Oner, who now will be without a flash.
Also gives you a whole bunch of extra damage as Chovy is going to get Buster shotted away. That is a large investment though from Faker just to keep himself safe here in this lane. Chovy pretty happy about hitting level 6, does have access to that ultimate now. Is a lot more of a threat here in this lane. You can see Faker still doing a great job staying up in farm, keeping that pressure on. And this Tristana has been such a pivotal pick so far in the LCK. Faker doing a good job so far, but Chovy in once again, unbinds his soul. And Faker able to just put on that explosive charge, even things out. Canyon looking for these first grubs. And Oner not wanting to give those up, although will be distracted by some shellfish first up. And Canyon not wanting to give that one away. He's going to be able to steal it with a smite. And Oner going to have to get out of there as Rocket Jump comes in. Ultimate misses there from Chovy. He's taking a lot of damage as there it is. The Impale, but the flash out from Faker just too good. As Pays possibly going to get stunned up as Lahens is right under the turret. I don't know about that one, but Gumayusi goes down. And Pays is able to pick up that kill. Can he get the other one onto Keria as well? And it looks like the answer is going to be no. As Keria had a turret there. It looked like Gen G didn't even really know that there was a turret there, but it was 1-for-1 underneath it anyway.
I don't know if they're unleashed, unhinged, or both, but Gen G bot lane is not messing around, Atlas.
It's on something.
It's definitely something. But the key thing is, every time Guma dies, he falls further behind in experience. He falls further behind in CS. And we're again getting to a situation where one of the most dependable members of T1 is falling further and further behind.
You're going to see this from Pays' perspective here. Great block from Lahens. And when he went in, I love this from Pays. The young man just says, no, I will not make you look silly by going underneath that turret. We're going to kill him.
We're just going to murder him. The passive of Leona combined with the burst that Ezreal has in the early game ends up being enough. And as you're saying, like, Lahens was 100% dead there.
Yeah.
So they just turn it around.
Just send it. And the fact that they're doing it together is the most important part, right? Because I think there's a large reason why we were talking about this bottom lane of Gen G as being the weak point. It was because, and it was because they didn't have that synergy built up, and it didn't look like they were on the same page in a lot of instances. I think if there's ever an example of that synergy being repaired, is the fact that Pays is ready to go in on one of Lahens' crazy journeys. And it's beautiful to see, as Canyon's just going to get engaged on here. Keria pulls the trigger in a moment, and Canyon misses the flash. Gen G just going to get punished out of nowhere here.
Big win there for T1. This game, even though some parts of it look similar, still still feels very different to the previous game. Canyon, because he's playing in an AP versus AP matchup, not quite able to get the same lead in the jungle. Chovy this time around, not Chovying necessarily as much, given that the matchup is a lot harder for the Oner early. In the bot lane, yeah, it's still going the way of Pace and Lahens, but it does feel like
they have to work for it a lot more in this one, right?
Really
it wasn't 2v2s getting the advantages. It was resources invested into trying to make it happen. And this time around, T1 have been able to punish Canyon as Keria in once again. There's the Magnet Storm. They don't quite find Pace, but Lahens standing his ground. And Keria just going to get punished. Pace finding the last auto. And Oner just not here in time. Pace still fighting more as there's the cleanse to get out of the way of the seismic shove. Oh, speaking of seismic shove, it is Pace that now needs to have the curtains blocked. And Oner down so incredibly low. Canyon going to punish him. Gumayusi just needs one. Give the man one. But he's not going to be spared it as Canyon looks for the spear. Good dodge from Gumayusi, but he wanted kills. Oh my god. Okay, Pace. Leave him alone. Oh,
what do you do after that? How do you bounce back from that, Atlas?
I don't know. It was just too cruel.
That's not okay. They just... So, we're going back...
Yeah, let's go back to this part.
We're going back to a better time. Love this from Keria, actually, so they see a glimpse of Canyon, make the educated guess, and I'm pretty sure even if he got
he would have flashed right into a seismic shove.
So, good prediction there. Then this, though. So, Lahens misses his E, and they have a level advantage, so they feel very confident to go in there. Also, note the immediate response from Canyon on the minimap. Then Pace and Lahens are able to do so much damage, taking down Keria.
And Lahens gets 6 right here.
Yeah, and it seems like that's the end of it, but then Lahens hits it. And then here, you're like, okay, T1's going to turn it around. Oner's here. And then Canyon goes for the re-engage, blocks the Jhin shots, but simultaneously not going down. And killing Oner.
That's the worst part, is the fact that Gumayusi had so many options. It was one more bullet for so many members.
Also,
wasn't able to find it.
Thank you, Jonah Strong, for confirming that there are in fact 2 top laners.
Ah, yes, here we go.
They are here. They are grasping, and they'll join.
In fact, let's watch this. Okay, never mind. We'll watch this one instead, as Lahens going to take a little bit of a walk out here, as Eclipse did wear off, so therefore was a bit more susceptible, as this should be 6 grubs going over to Gen.G this time around. Denying grubs from a Tristana composition, definitely feeling pretty good here, as now Paze has quite a few friends in the area. See, playing with a fair bit of gusto as well, but it looks like Oner just biding his time, waiting for an opportunity, wanting to see whether Gen.G do show anything here. As Chovy going forward onto Faker, finds himself a knockup, but isn't going to be able to get too much more than that. And plate money going over to T1. As Gen.G, they just read the fact that Oner has not been seen on the map. He could easily be there, ready to kill them. They will back away, but what that does is it gives T1 some free time with this turret. They grab themselves a couple of plates. Certainly good news for them.
Also means that 6 grubs are now here for Gen.G. And the 6 grubs, when you have a Yone on your team, that's going to be a menace in the side lane once Chovy starts hitting his items. Canyon is currently sitting on a, I think it was like 800-something gold lead, which shouldn't come as a surprise, given how he's looked on... really, the worst Nidalee game he had was the first one. If you didn't catch it, it was... I think it was, if I remember, Game 5 against TES, and like he died twice early.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, whoa, this doesn't look good. And then, I don't know what he ended, like 9-2, 8-2. And then every game since, he's just been shaking off the rust.
It's the late game Nidalee that we rely on.
And we talk about it.
Oh, okay. There is some fate trying to be sealed here by Chovy, but Faker is in control of his own.
Oh, and here now, Guma's going to get zoned out. And Chovy definitely not looking like his best Yone game. I think that is a high standard he set for himself.
Very true. So, he hasn't solo killed his opposition 7 times yet.
Well, he's also hasn't hit an ultimate yet, okay? I'm not asking for solo bolos on repeat.
Hey, BDD showed me yesterday that it's really hard to land those, okay? As Keen is going to be fighting Zeus, throwing rocks around, things like that. As once again, Faker going to be engaged on. The Weaver's Wall coming down there from Oner as he makes his way in. Flash out from Chovy, but Faker there to answer. Chovy not dead just yet, but does manage to get the reset. And Faker is out of there once again. Some teleports coming in, as we could see, but Zeus was able to stop Keen from that top side of the map. We'll be able to break that one, but ultimately, in the end, not really anyone finding too much extra headway.
Faker now making his way back immediately into the lane. I imagine wants to try and get a plate before they go down and set up for a very proactive dragon. Because again, Faker now has gotten his back in. Chovy has not, meaning that T1 will be able to get to a 2 Drake lead. And we talked a lot about Genji, talked a lot about Canyon as he needs to make sure he doesn't get taken down. And Keria setting up a trap.
Yeah. This back is going to come out just and make sure that he stops him right at the very end. Very nicely done. So Canyon going to return the favor of the dragon by picking up this Herald. Cloud Soul. Oh, baby. What a weekend for Cloud Souls it has been. Fellow Cloud Soul enthusiasts around the world overjoyed with the amount that we've had.
Singing in the streets.
Oh, 100%. And it's been a very cloudless weekend as well. It's been beautiful weather here.
Oh, it's all amazing.
So making up for it with some extra Cloud Souls. You'll love to see it.
Great weather to stay inside and watch video games.
Oh, yeah.
We will have the cross map for Genji, which will consist of getting themselves the Herald. It's likely going to be looking to break open that mid lane turret. Play to the Rune King now done. This is a very different game from game one, though, and I do think it's important to note that. I still think Genji are in a great position. Still really like their composition. This poke is going to remain relevant. But unlike the previous game, T1 haven't gotten to a position where, you know, it's like you either get the absolute crazy engage or you just don't really have a shot. Still behind in a couple of key matchups. As
FaZe finding a great trade there. True shot barrage. Gumayusi knows exactly what's coming. Gonna move out of the way. Still, FaZe really putting the screws in. He has managed to get towards that Trinity Force. No first item completed here by Gumayusi just yet, which is why FaZe is able to take trades like this. It looks so good. As Keria, not quite over the wall just there.
That's a hard jump to make for Horde.
Yeah,
that's a big wall.
I also feel like Jonah Strong made it look even harder by doing some zooming in and out over and over again, so I got a bit confused. So when it's going to save him there a little bit.
He's a master of visual storytelling.
He really is.
Oh, it's bot lane Herald instead. T1 does have a response, but I don't know if they have enough members.
Yeah, Flash comes out just to avoid the ultimate from Chovy here. A seismic shove just barely not able to land onto Lehens there, so the turret will go down. Gumayusi looking for the angle. Canyon's in trouble, and there it is. It's Keria that locks it down in the end. Seismic shove opted into by Lehens, and the last bullet will reign true. Gumayusi going to grab that kill. It's his second of the game. 100% kill contribution from the man who was targeted by Genji so much early.
Really nicely done there by T1. This time around, they are in fact ready. Enough members there.
Oh, seismic shove avoided by FaZe. Not able to take this turret just yet as Keen, with some free time, throwing rocks around in the top lane. Look at him go. He misses his kind, Chronicler.
I think that lore was retconned now.
I don't care. It's my lore. Bless you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, our cough buttons don't work, by the way.
Oh, well, yeah. That's very unfortunate.
You're welcome. Everyone just got a big old sneeze.
As we take another look at this, so it looks good because Lehens is able to dodge the Q, and then in the immediate follow-up, everyone tries to make it out. But this catch on Canyon not only gets the kill on him, but then Keria is also able to extend the play. Lehens doesn't get the second dodge. And from there on out, looks like T1, 2 Drakes, still slight goal deficit, but not going to be the end of the world.
Yep. And I was a little bit unfair on Lehens there. He was doing his best to try and dodge the seismic shove, but Oner's positioning of it was just too good, so he was always going to get caught as Shattering Strike not going to connect here by Keria, going to stop Lehens from being able to go back home. But I think this support combat not going to be that great for Keria, as there's the ulti. Fate Seal gets a flash out of Oner as Chovy back out of there again, but Keria doesn't have that option as FaZe locks it up with a Mystic shot. Genji straight out of the gate once again swinging.
Kills now evened up. 2 gold lead, 2K gold lead rather. 2 gold wouldn't be very impressive for Genji. We'll have to see how T1 is going to adapt. I think we saw there in the previous play as well that worked out for T1 what they're looking for, right? It's the lockdown, isolating targets one by one, and then using the threat of something like your Jhin. And also, and we've been joking about this, we haven't seen either top laner join a fight.
At all.
And particularly
we keep looking at this top lane of Keen just very slowly farming a minion wave.
They're grasping.
Yeah.
They're both grasping. Here, Keria trying to set up a play. Chovy, I'm not 100% sure if the ult would have hit, but Oner, I think they're making the right choice, not taking the risk. Because if he also ends up going down, might be able to get even more, because the mid lane turret's still standing here for T1. They want to hold on to that.
Yeah. Gen.G need to probably say goodbye to theirs pretty quickly, but they will not push the issue this time around. Hair's breadth still left on that one. 20 seconds on this next dragon is, oh dear, okay. Getting out of there. Keria just testing the waters, looking for an opportunity as Keen. Oh, look at this battle! Whoa! Rock goes wide. Okay. I just want to get excited for everyone, right? And so we need to put in some extra enthusiasm as Lahen's going to get healed up there by Canyon just momentarily.
He's doing this on purpose, right?
Yeah.
And also, he's trying to show us that I imagine both top laners want to try and make their way to the fight. Get it back in first, ideally, so they can spend their hard-earned money.
And then join this potential fight here. You can see both of them going back home now. Teleport coming in immediately. Keen does have his Merc Treads now completed as well. Picks up some rocks from the bottom of the river. See whether he can throw him at T1 effectively. Finds Zeus with one of them. He's been doing that all game. Really got his eye in as okay. Now the Weaver's Wall will be able to guarantee this outer turret. Pays not too phased by it. Keen also, I mean, walls don't exist for Skarner. Quite a bit of being able to ignore walls. I liked it when we had Aurelion Sol and Skarner in the game. It's like, what is terrain? Does that even exist? Is that a thing? I think we were talking about choke points at one stage. Like, what is a choke point?
What's the most? So obviously you have Skarner.
So you have Skarner, Aurelion Sol, Kayn, Zeri, Yuumi.
Oh, there you go.
And then actually everyone can ignore.
Yuumi is kind of cheating, but I think that works.
She ignores everything, so I think it's not cheating. I think it's just the ultimate form.
Including fun and interactive gameplay.
Exactly.
As a really cute here, Canyon making sure he takes the buff as Pace is backing to give his AD carry the buff.
Yep.
Right now, what we
Although, wait, everyone gets the buff.
I don't know if, are we...
Isn't it
20, I think it's
after
past
20
minutes, yeah, but we'll see. Sometimes I've been everyone gets it, so it doesn't matter at all.
Yep.
Aw, still.
But it was a cute idea, and
I
theoretically, maybe they didn't check their watches at that time, and so they were doing it for the cute reason.
I'd like to read as much into stuff that might be inconsequential as I can. It
was beautiful.
That's what we do as casters, after all.
Well, dancing a grenade, dancing across the wave, and Gen.G setting up for a Baron potentially.
So the big difference between this game and the last one, besides what we already talked about, is that T1 has way more map control. So you saw as well that the amount in the previous fight, that the amount of poke that Gen.G can reliably land is way lower. There's also no Corki. That obviously changes.
It's a maneuver as Lahen's is... Okay, well, Keria is flashing out, but there's the ulti from Chovy. He gets bounced around, but it's just enough damage that's being done. And Oner is just torn away from the map. And now without the jungler, Gen.G right around this Baron. They're not going to go for it just yet. It's a bit dangerous here.
Oh, Chovy is TP as well.
Yeah, there they go. Of course, they're going to start this one up. It is spotted by T1, but what can they do about it? That is the question. Teleport coming in, Gen.G committing to this one. Kraken Slayer done for Chovy as he makes his way back into the fight. Keen, incredibly tanky. Curtain Call has been utilized. Lahen's not going to be able to tank too many of these. Finally, he does go down, and there is a huge impale from Keen. Pay's now able to free hit once again. He'll pick up a double as the Arcane shifts, flashes, and gets himself forward. It's one last one, thanks to that beautiful red buff that was given to him so kindly by Canyon. He's going to take yet another kill, and now Gen.G are going to press even further forward. Oner, he just got out of the death chamber, and they're looking to put him back. There's the Mystic Shot snipe. Beautifully played by Payson. Can we cancel the buffs? We need to cancel the buffs right now.
It's too late. Atlas, they're already in the air.
Get Mr. Turley on the line.
They're on their way. Get the hotfix out.
Oh, God.
Gen.G, that's the best case scenario. Not only do you get the kill onto Oner, not only do you then get the Baron, but T1, and I think rightly so, looking for the exit kills. So much damage has been done by Baron. There's no Leona, no frontline left standing, but the Scorpion ends up saying no, being a big difference maker there.
And Keen is just going to walk towards Keria here. And then ignore walls, as per usual. And I liked making that last fight about Paze and the Ezreal, just to try and ignore the fact that Skarner is ridiculous as champion. But it was well played by Keen at the same time. And Gen.G holding on to control of that Baron pit beautifully. They'll now put it to work, taking down this inner turret towards the top side. Seismic Shot avoided here by Lahen's as he finds the Solar Flare, or at least the slow. onto Oner and Faker. Fair bit of damage going down, Shattering Strike coming in, Keria trying to get them away from this, but this is just not going to stand in front of Gen G. There is at least a tower falling down on the bottom side. Seismic Shove is going to connect onto Keen, but he just doesn't even notice. He doesn't care. Maybe that he thought it was gap close that he could utilize as the fate is sealed for Gumayusi. The spear going to execute him. Keen crashes into a Nexus turret. And it should just be the 2-0 right here, right now for Gen G as they do not stop pushing forward. A 10,000 gold lead, and our MSI champions are looking to continue that streak into the LCK with a 2-0 start to the season. If this will ever die.
No MSI hangover for this team. Hands is cackling.